Hey y'all. Happy Sunday. We are so thankful and excited to be able to share today from our beautiful teacher, Miss Bree Jewell. And before I do our proper introduction, what I wanted to share is our welcoming you into our worthy collective. And then I get to share with you more on our guest speaker of the hour. Welcome to our Worthy Collective. This is your sacred space, a gathering place for women from all walks of life, whether you're here to rise in your health, reclaim your wealth, deepen your faith, or realign your purpose in life or business. Here, there's no hierarchy, only humanity. We honor everyone's woman's unique path, knowing that growth looks different for each of us. You're not behind, you're not late, and you are right on time. We give grace, we grow, we remember who we are together. Welcome home to the Worthy Collective. Yay! And so now I have the honor of introducing you to our beautiful Bree, who it's not to be shocked that again, the one and only Lori Love Jones, who is entertaining family today and not with us, she is who introduced us to Bree. And Bree is an inspirational mindset and empowerment coach. As a mindset and empowerment coach and clinical hypnotherapist, she has walked the path from illness to illumination, transforming her mental and physical health after overcoming Lyme's disease. Now she empowers others to do the same, guiding them to reconnect in their inner power, release limiting beliefs, and rewrite the subconscious stories that hold them back. Through deeply effective yet simple self-discovery and self-healing tools, she helps others awaken their innate strength, reprogramming the conditioned patterns, and create lives filled with purpose, peace, and radiant health. This isn't just mindset work. This is a whole self awakening. And we are so thankful that Miss Bree is going to teach today on love over labels. Take it away, my love.
Thank you, Maggie. So I guess I'm going to share my screen here. We'll see if I have permission. Oh, let me find it. Here we go. Try it again. Apparently, I was not ready. Oops. Here we go.
Technology is my favorite because today I tried to log in and it said I wasn't the host. I was like, well, then who is?
Okay, here we go.
Oh, Lotus. It's beautiful.
Let me move y'all over here and go into presenter view. Okay. Yes, this is thanks to the help of ChatGPT and my 5-hour deep dive.
Yay!
This is the Love Over Labels. I'm excited to present this to you ladies today. Thank you so much for showing up, whether you're live today or watching the replay. I appreciate your time and attention. Hope you find this as interesting and fascinating and healing and wonderful as I did in my own life. And I'm excited to present this talk on learning to love ourselves over continuing to live under the labels or limiting beliefs that we've adopted over the course of our lives. So here we go. I'm going to keep move. Sorry, I have to move you guys. Okay. So, what is love? So, I got this definition of love from A Course in Miracles, actually. It's not what you would find in the dictionary, but I love it so much. So I thought I'd share it with you. And it says it's the single real emotion which includes in itself all other positive emotions. And this is the part I love. Love is the inevitable response to the recognition of worth in ourselves and others, and it is the essence of our being. So when I read this, I was like, really, if we could all just decide to identify with our true nature, which is divine children of God, we could just forget about all this healing work and go on about our merry way because we'd know our worthiness, our innate worthiness, and then we'd respond to ourselves and others with love, and the whole world would change, poof, in an instant. So But because we're human, it takes a little bit more effort and practice. And I just wanted to add in this Bible verse from 1 John chapter 4, verses 7 to 8, where it says, "Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love." So another definition, love is God. God is love. And then A Course in Miracles says our worth is not established because the definition of love is about worth. Our worth is not established by teaching or learning. Our worth is established by God. So I love that. And on the other hand, we have labels. Can you guys see this blue arrow floating around here? Okay. I'll try to keep it out of the way. So the label can be thought of as the ego's limitation mechanism. In my world, we call labels limiting beliefs or conditioned beliefs. It's a classifying, this is the Webster Dictionary definition of label, by the way, a classifying phrase or name applied to a person or thing, especially one that is inaccurate or restrictive. So labels are learned, not created by God, which makes them not true. They create limits, as in limiting beliefs. So they're restrictive. They're imposed by the ego and are in contrast with our true nature as spirit, with limitless potential and divine essence. They represent illusions of separation from God and each other, and they're not reflections of truth, divinity, or love. They also keep us stuck and not living to our full potential, and they block transformation and healing. So just a little bit about me real quick before going on. Maggie did a really sweet introduction there, but the reason I got into being a mindset and empowerment coach and a medical support clinical hypnotherapist is because of, yes, my healing, my journey through worsening symptoms for 11 years and compounding co-infections that were seemingly unrelated. For that 11 years, I was going to doctor's appointments. The doctors couldn't figure out that it was all due to chronic Lyme. I clearly had no idea. And it took 11 years to get a diagnosis. And in the meantime, before getting a diagnosis, I was so mentally and physically, I was in so much mental and physical pain that I thought I was dying. I was anxious, I was depressed, and I had a complete apathy for life. I basically didn't want to go on. So I was like, if this is how life is, I don't really want to, I don't want to be here, whatever. And, uh, but at some point, I just remember just deciding that at 36, I was too young to die, that someone was going to figure this out for me, and that I was responsible, in many ways. I somehow had this inner knowing my whole life that I was responsible for the stuff that was happening in my life. So I knew, when I was being bullied, it was because I didn't know how to stand up for myself, or I wasn't communicating my needs and desires appropriately or whatever. So on one hand, that was really, really powerful because I knew I needed to be the change that I wanted to see. But I also was kind of bullying myself at the same time and victimizing myself because I was like, well, shame on you for not doing better at standing up for yourself, and you're being a doormat. And I just had a lot of really negative self-talk. I was in victim mentality for a long time. And I used this work. I used A Course in Miracles. I started going, I came to a relationship with God via an unconventional path. I've said this before. I happened into a Buddhist meditation center. I would say by accident, but I don't believe in accidents. I think it was a God thing, clearly. And I ended up learning to meditate through that Buddhist meditation center. I attended 2 nights a week for a full year. And then I was also studying A Course in Miracles. And that took approximately 2 years. But basically the whole path was literally a re-education in perception of self and of the world. So I was I was learning I was learning to do for myself what I'm teaching here right now. So labels are often I am statements. And these I am statements, I'll show you in a minute how they become self-fulfilling prophecies, or they can become self-fulfilling prophecies. But I was telling myself I was weak. I was calling myself a doormat. I think one of my personal lies back then was I'm a burden. So I was constantly people pleasing. I didn't want to be any trouble to anyone, so I was doing all things for everyone all the time, never asking for anything in return. And then just some extras here. I'm a failure. I'm broken. They don't have to be I am statements, these labels and limiting beliefs, but even if you're like, well, I'm not good at math, that's an I am statement. Or they just have a tendency to sort of work their way around somehow to being an I am statement. And I am statements, we have to be really careful about the things we put behind I am because for one, if our subconscious mind is super powerful, and I am statements evoke creative energy and they can be thought of as commands to our subconscious minds. And our subconscious minds always want to be right. They always want to prove us right. Our subconscious minds are a proving mind. So, and they literally form our brain. There's parts of our brain that our subconscious forms that looks out into the world and brings back into our awareness the proof of our beliefs. So, whatever we say we are, whatever we say we're capable of, whatever we say we aren't or aren't capable of, the subconscious mind is going to create in your brain. It's going to make your brain bring in sensory input to affirm whatever it is you believe about yourself and the world. So, whether you believe the world is a terrible place or a beautiful place, the subconscious is going to prove you right. So the good news is, though, that we can we can learn with practice well, we can make a new decision, right? Just today, we can decide, and we're going to do a practice later. We're going to decide that there's some limiting belief that we want to let go of. And then we get to decide to let go of that belief, create a new positive healing belief. And this is how we tell our subconscious the new thing that we want it to be right about. And this little phrase, you'll see it when you believe it, has been used over and over. I think maybe Henry Ford, or somebody said it originally, Wayne Dwyer, people like that have all known this. And now science, there's lots of science in my burnt offerings workshop. I go into the science about the subconscious and the brain and things like that. But literally, there's science to prove that we have to work on the belief level in order to affect change. So when we create a new belief, again, that's when the subconscious and the brain looks into the world and affirms back to us what we believe. So we want to really work on changing those limiting beliefs. And then I just wanted to throw in some Bible verses that aligned with this whole idea here. And Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. So we want to be watching. And interestingly enough, the Hebrew word for heart as a noun also means mind, conscience, and center. So I love looking sometimes at Hebrew words and seeing like the other meanings that they have and seeing how that changes things contextually. And this was really interesting to me. So it's saying, above all else, guard your mind, for everything you do flows from it. Guard your conscience and guard the center of your being. So Romans 12:2 calls us to be transformed by the renewing of our minds, releasing our limitations and embracing our true identity as divine beings created in love. I added that part. But but so, you know, more proof that we need to do this work, and when we do this work, this is how we do come to align more with love instead of our labels, right? So the whole process is we're trying to align more with love. We're trying to become more loving to ourselves. And I mean, let's be honest, if we don't love ourselves, how can we really love anybody else, right? We project, our perceptions create our reality. I'll talk about that a little bit more. But so we have to learn to love ourselves so that we can love really properly everyone else. And then just one last one is 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, we demolish arguments against the knowledge of God and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. So again, just I love all these verses that are talking about the importance of watching our thoughts and guarding our minds. So, this is my little slide on the cycle of self-fulfilling prophecy and how these I am statements or these limiting beliefs actually become self-fulfilling prophecies for us. So, what happens is our beliefs and our perceptions create our thoughts, which in turn create our emotions, which in turn drive our actions and our behaviors, which in turn lead to results, outcomes, consequences that ultimately reinforce the beliefs, the current belief system. So, we get stuck in this loop of, well, when it's negative insanity, the definition of insanity, right? Keep believing what you're believing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. But again, the good news is we can learn to override these limiting beliefs or labels, and then we can tell the subconscious the new things we want it to prove back to us. So that's how that works. And then where do these labels and limiting beliefs come from? So from the from in the womb time until we're between 7 and 11 years old, our conscious reasoning minds and the areas of the brain that host conscious reasoning, logic, all those things are not formed. So they don't form until between 7 and 11 years old. So until that time, our brains are in a theta wave state, and theta wave state is literally a hypnotic state. So we're basically walking around as children in a hypnotic state, just downloading programming from our authority figures, parents, teachers, police, society, culture, church, things like that. Um, our peers, obviously, we know how our peers can inform our self-perceptions and beliefs. And highly emotionalized events are basically events like traumatic events. What happens during traumatic events is that if let's talk about a traumatic event actually after the conscious reasoning mind is developed. So there's literally a gatekeeper to the subconscious and the conscious reasoning mind that's called the critical faculty or the critical factor. And um, when when we're in a traumatic event, that critical factor gets knocked offline immediately because our sympathetic nervous system is activated and our body goes into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? And so critical thinking goes offline. And we are instantly programmed. Instantly, there's a neural pathway formed in our brain. And so that's how highly emotionalized events cause programming. And then to be continued, anytime we say yes to or agree to an idea about ourselves, that causes programming or labels or limits. And this can be also positive, right? It doesn't always have to be negative, but we're talking about growing from negative labels and limits to love. So I'm speaking only in the negative here, but obviously this can also happen with the positive. And then the last one is repetition. So repetition is key. Repeated exposure to certain ideas. If any of us, hopefully you didn't, I didn't, thank goodness, but if any of us say had an older brother or an older sibling that used to refer to us as stupid, or our parents told us we weren't very good in school, or the continual reinforcement of something like that, we might end up believing even as adults until we know better and know how these programs happen and do the work to change them. We probably believe we have to work harder than anybody to learn. We're not very bright, maybe we don't think we're good at tests, whatever the case may be. And so this all just comes from the repetition and the reinforcement of these beliefs. And this happens, repetition is key because the brain is neuroplastic. They call it neuroplastic. It's kind of you guys have probably heard the phrase. It's kind of a weird, it's malleable. The brain is malleable. way into, old age. And so this repetition of these limiting beliefs is basically how we got to where we're at now. And so it's going to take repetition of the new positive healing ideas to get us to the person we want to be. So, and again, this is basically what I did in my own life and my own healing. I just didn't give up. Like I know people who will say, well, I tried that and it didn't work for me. And it's like, how many times did you try? Because you can't just do it once. You can't just do it twice. You can't just do it 3 times. You're going to have to like pull yourself out of that ditch or reframe that limiting belief over and over and over and over again until the new neural pathways form in your brain that make the new way of being. And so don't give up. Be persistent. Repetition, repetition, repetition. And now for, well, returning to love and remembering our true identity. So I like to remind us all that we are created in God's likeness, reflecting his divine essence. We are pure, eternal spirit in a skin suit for a while. And I like to remind people the empowerment factor of this for me is reminding people that we do have the kingdom of God resides within us. We have our bodies have an innate ability to heal. They know how to heal themselves. Their natural state of being is homeostasis, which is keeping an equilibrium and a balance between all of its organs and processes. And, we don't have to think about breathing. We don't have to think about our immune system working, things like that. The body knows it's divine. It's got an innate intelligence and it knows what to do. We just have to stay out of its way. And some of the ways we get in the body's way of healing, this really isn't to talk about healing, but since that has been my experience, I'm kind of digressing here for a minute. But um, one of the ways we get in the way of the body healing is through limiting beliefs, our toxic thinking, our toxic internal dialogue, right? So, how do we return to love? How do we remember our divinity? So, one of the ways we can do that is reframing. So, and I have reframing for rewiring because, as I was talking about before, the more we practice at reframing and stating our positive healing beliefs, we rewire the brain. And then, as we rewire the brain, this new way of being becomes our natural state of being. So it overrides those new neural pathways, override the old, and those limiting beliefs fall away. So while we do this, and this is also like an ancient this is a mindfulness meditation practice as well. Like they talk about these steps in mindfulness all the time, but the first step is awareness without judgment because judgment equals resistance. Judgment equals reinforcing those old neural pathways that we are trying to override and overcome. So we have to notice a negative thought, notice the negative self-talk, notice the ruminating pattern, whatever the case may be, without, there I go again, whatever. It's like, oh, there she is, and and not get in the ditch with it and not judge ourselves for it. And I'm probably going to mess up how to say this. Colossians 3, verses 12 through 14 says, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other, and I'm going to say, and yourself, and forgive one another. And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. So, be compassionate, treat yourself like the 3-year-old version of yourself, right? When you're doing this work. But so we notice the first step is well, actually the first step even before that is we decide we want something different. We decide we want to change, right? We decide we want to get out of the self-fulfilling loop that we're in because of whatever negative belief is creating what we don't want. And so we make a decision, we want something new. Then we begin to pay attention to our thoughts. We notice, and it takes practice, but we notice and we get better at noticing when we're thinking something limiting, when we're labeling ourselves. And I like to say cancel, cancel, or cancel, clear, delete, or people will say stop or whatever. And then sometimes it's even a good idea to get the body involved because getting the body involved, well, if you try to tell yourself, if you're like Eeyore and you're like, I love and approve of myself. Like that's not really going to work, right? So you want to be in a power pose. You want to be like, I love and approve of myself. Like maybe you're doing jumping jacks. I don't know. But you get the body involved and you put yourself into a powerful state with the body, while also canceling out the limiting belief. So we notice we've had a thought we don't want. We say cancel. I sometimes like to go shimmy it off, because it makes me laugh immediately. So I like to shimmy off the limiting belief, which also makes me laugh. And you can't like be in a you can't be in an idea of limitation while also laughing at yourself, right? So I like to get shimmy it off and laugh at myself. And then we want to reframe. So this could be a direct reversal of the limiting belief. I am a burden turns to I am a blessing. I am weak turns to I am strong and empowered as a divine child of God. I am, um, let's see, I'm not, well, I mean, easy ones are I'm stupid turns to I'm learning and growing all the time, or I am intelligent, or whatever. And sometimes you have to, fake it until you make it at first. I'm going to talk about that later too. And sometimes you also need to do baby steps. So if it's too much of a stretch to go from I'm not smart to I'm highly intelligent, then you might just say I'm learning more and more every day, you know, so that it's more realistic to the subconscious. And so then also I've got a little postscript here because with hypnosis and my coaching clients, we always add feeling. So adding a feeling to the statement is important because the feeling is really where also the vibrational frequency comes from. And so we want to add, and I feel, so if I was going to um, say I'm going to turn I am weak into I am strong and I feel powerful and empowered, And so you want to get in touch with the feeling state that goes along with that new positive healing statement as well. And then if you want to take it next level, there's some more steps you can do. So some people like to find and write down evidence of the new truth about the new positive healing statement because sometimes it's actually really easy to find evidence that the reversal of the limiting belief is actually true about us because the limiting belief is not true, right? It might be harder to find evidence about that than it would be about if I'm changing I'm a burden to I'm a blessing. I could list all the ways that I bless people, in my life. And that's finding the evidence. And then also maybe listing the progress and the wins toward healing. So if your limiting belief is I am broken or there's something wrong with me, then maybe you reverse that to I am happy, healthy, and whole, or um, or I'm getting better and better every day. And then you start to list the progress that you're making towards your healing. And so that's the finding evidence part about the reframing exercise. And then you want to visualize yourself behaving in the way that the new you would behave. So you basically create a movie trailer snippet of a moment in time or a moment in your life where you can see, sense, and feel yourself behaving as though you already are what your goal is. So you already are the person that you're becoming. And again, I've got feel in all caps here because you really want to try to get in touch with the feeling. What does it feel like to be this person that I want to be? And you guys have been in here before when I've talked about doing this with a friend. Sometimes it's hard, or I won't say it's hard. Some people can think it's hard. Maybe sometimes in the past I've thought it's hard to get in touch with a feeling of something that I haven't experienced before. So maybe I need to look outside of myself and find someone who I think is embodying the experience of that. And then I need to imagine, feeling like that. Or sometimes it's fun to do this with friends and you start riffing off of each other, right? With your visualization. And the next thing you know, you're laughing and you're talking excitedly about, say it's a prosperity thing and you come from a family that had pretty crappy ideas about money, and so you've never really been able to make a lot of money. And you're riffing with your friend about, oh yeah, and then I bought that new Porsche, and remember it was electric blue, and we rode downtown with the top down, and and like with your friend helping you riff like that, you can just feel, everything get fun and happy, and you start to just really get in the vibrational frequency and the feeling of what it actually is like to be that person. And then the last step is to try to act in the world, although this new you or the or is true, or that you've already achieved the goal that you desire. And so you sometimes have to get out of your comfort zone. And like I said, you have to fake it until you make it. So in the past, I was very shy and I felt very awkward. I felt very uncomfortable in social situations and things like that. And I didn't feel like I was very good with small talk. And so I would kind of like hug a wall in a social situation, or just, you know, be feel real awkward. And when I started changing my life and changing my mindset, I would start like noticing people's earrings, and maybe giving them a compliment, or striking up a conversation with somebody out of the blue in that way, to try to just get better at not feeling like I had to stick to a wall. Or I also in the past wasn't very good at receiving compliments. I know you guys are surprised to hear that. Um and so I started giving compliments. I just started making it a point to try to notice something um nice about someone, and offer a compliment to them about it. And so I just started behaving in the world how I wanted to become, and now I am that. It really works. It takes, a bit of practice or whatever, but it really does work. And so this is the exercise in reframing. And now we get to do it for ourselves. So the reflection for today is to maybe write down or think about an identity or a label or a limiting belief that you are wanting to shed in order to be able to love yourself more fully today. And take a few minutes to think about that. Maybe there's more than one. All of the ones on the screen are mine from the past. And then now that you've got some of those limiting statements written there, let's go ahead and reverse those. And it says five here, but maybe it's two, maybe it's three, whatever. Maybe it's just one giant one that you really want to work on. Write the reversal of those statements for yourself. And if they're I am statements, then obviously they can be a direct reversal, or go ahead and just write, you know, some new I am statements, some new positive I am statements about yourself that you want to work toward. Something that reminds you of your inherent worth, your God-given gift of worthiness. And as you read them to yourself, maybe notice or reflect on the impact that they have on you and your body. Notice if you're feeling differently in your body. And then just another real fast digression here. um, is that I just want to say, the thing about living in our labels and our limiting beliefs and our conditioned patterns, if chronic, and if they're bad enough, like in my case, they really can begin to affect your nervous system, your autonomic nervous system, right? And then they constantly have you in a state of fight or flight. So you're always in your sympathetic nervous system, you're always in survival mode. And so by being able to write these new statements for yourself or reframe those old limiting beliefs, you're literally bringing your body out of survival mode and into healing and thriving mode. So when the parasympathetic nervous system gets activated, then that's where rest, digest, and heal happens. And that's where you begin to heal and thrive. So lastly, just remembering that we are the creators of our reality, that our perceptions and our beliefs do create our reality. And so, by embracing these I am statements, these new positive healing I am statements, you're actively shaping your beliefs for more love, rewiring your brain, and manifesting a life rooted in love, power, and positivity. And I just added this last little slide because I wanted to talk a little bit about, again, just I need to see if I can move this. There we go. Um, I wanted to just talk real quick again about keeping it small and realistic until you're ready to go bigger. Baby steps are fine. So it can be, you can tell yourself something like, well, when I first started healing, before I really even knew, well, I'll just say one of my main mantra when I first started healing was I couldn't even use positive language at the time. I didn't really also know the power of keeping the language positive. But I would just say there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Or there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me over and over and over in my head. Because all I could do before that was focus on all the ways that everything was going wrong in my life, in my body, and so on. So I would just say something like, there's nothing wrong with me, there's nothing wrong with me. But you could say something like, every day I get closer to reaching my goal. Communication is something you have an issue with, you can say, with every conversation, I get better and better at communicating effectively, so that you don't have to jump from, I'm a terrible communicator, to I communicate with ease and grace, you can make baby steps to progress, and sometimes that's more believable to the subconscious mind. So sometimes that's actually even more effective. But um, I think, oh, and then just the last disclaimer is this isn't rocket science, this work of re-educating or reframing our perceptions for love, healing, and wholeness. We just have to do it. We have to take action. And remember, progress, not perfection. Small action taken every day can equal big success. And I'm going to stop sharing. Does anyone want to share any of their limiting beliefs or ask questions about how to reframe them or anything at all? Don't have to, but you are a
I'd
warrior.
like to say something.
Yes,
I don't
ma'am.
know how to, I don't know how to get that little hand up, but I just wanted to say this has been so helpful.
Oh,
I've kind of
good.
gotten off track all week, and I just feel like you've put me back on. Last week, I wanted so much to say out loud. I'm not good at talking, out loud, but I'm getting better every day. But Maggie has helped me rewire a very personal issue in my life. And it has been a wonderful experience. And I wanted to say it out loud, and it was just like, go on, go on. And I just never could do it. But I'm saying it here in front of all of y'all that she has been so helpful. And the rewiring, actually, it works. I felt so much lighter. So I'm going to review everything she told me and really dig in this week. And everything you've said is just going to make it so much easier. And I appreciate both of you and all of you. And it's just been a great experience.
Yay, awesome. So great. That's I mean, yes, just keep going. Keep
Yeah.
doing great.
Oh,
It's hard not to get impatient. Go ahead.
I love that you have used your voice to share because so many times we think we're the only ones. So many times we think, oh, it's just me. And that's not possible because the days, the weeks, the months become multiplied and we don't realize that we are greater together. And one thing I get to share is that we had a worthy business circle call yesterday morning, and it took a bit of a turn. I always have a framework, yet based on who shows up, I specifically ask, what do you need here today? And I'm prepared to go if we need to, because if I had one message and yet it wasn't necessarily what's needed because of our group and the size and where we are, then it's not as valuable. And so we pivoted, and then Bree said, well, we're in 100% alignment because everything you've talked about, which we did talk about it similarly, but because of her background, her outline, her framework, her presentation that she spent hours upon hours and hours upon hours connecting chat with Canva and all these technical things that had her spinning that we're to be blessed by. It was so wild to think that now I'm hearing what she was saying. Yeah, I needed to hear it again because of that beautiful thing called repetition. And it's so what you're feeling, Martha, I'm feeling as well, because Bree has come in with such a different voice to remind us of those basics. And I'm so glad you connected it to
Yeah,
the actual rewire that you allowed yourself to have.
I loved it. Thank you.
Me
Yeah,
too.
and the thing about the repetition and the practice too is, or the progress and not perfection, is to remember that it's hard sometimes to see our progress while we're in it. And then you look back a year later and you think, wow, I'm like a different person. And you realize that you not only get in the ditch less, I call it getting in the ditch, okay? Um, and you not only get in the ditch less, you stay in there, you pull yourself out faster. So we're still human. We get
Yeah.
in the ditch, you know, here I go, watch me, you know. And but you just drive out of it a whole lot faster. You pull yourself out a lot faster, but it just takes practice. And then, like I said, once you form those new neural pathways, it becomes your way of life.
Very hopeful.
It's
Yeah.
so, I listened to a Mel Robbins. When you're listening to a YouTube, somebody referred me to something, and then the next one popped up, and it talked about calmness and the responses that we can choose to have. I'm grocery shopping, by myself, and I had her in my ear, and she's talking, and she said to have a calm response in situations that we feel challenged, it's simple to say, okay. And it was wild because I had a situation, it'll be almost a year. Oh my gosh, it on Halloween, it will be 1 year. And my brother came to me with something. He was attacking me. It was very personal. Three different things. It was super, super heart, like it hurt my heart. And I literally stood there. And I know where it was because it was Halloween. We were at my family's house and I had walked outside to take the call. And I kept praying, like, God, how do I respond to this so that I'm not making this worse on him or me because I really feel attacked here. And all I could mutter was, okay. And what I didn't realize was that was such a gifted, calm response. And it wasn't like I read it out of a book. It was just in that neutral work that I've done. And when she was talking about it and how she said that's such a great response because you're acknowledging someone, yet you're not getting back into the ring. I wasn't trying to defend myself. I just said, okay. And I remember taking a deep breath and I was praying, like, God, give me the words. And I was like, that's it? She gave me one word, two letters, depending on how you spell it. And after Mel, almost a year now, like next Friday, this coming Friday will be a year. And when she said that, I literally stopped in the grocery store and I was like, damn, that was really good. And I didn't realize that learning and that opportunity. So when we are in spaces of learning and growing and understanding, it's happening for us and not to us. We get to take these tools, especially by someone like Bree, who's done that extra work to learn what's going on in her body and what are the tools and resources that can really truly support us. And we're not in that victim mentality and we can pull ourselves out and we can also call for reserve. Like when we are in the ditch, we're like, hello, hello, I need to be towed. Somebody help me out. Come walk with me. And when you enlarge your circle and you have greater proximity to people who are like, oh yeah, I was there last week, or I just got out. Let me throw you a lifeline. It becomes really beautiful.
Well, you also said,
Ladies, I have to go, but I just wanted to say one of the things that that brought it up is I get referred to or treated like the villain in my family because I'm the one putting boundaries and I'm the one saying no and I'm the one, making them feel like they don't get to do what they want or doing the hard things, right? I do the hard things. Take the dog to the vet, so I get treated like the villain by the dog. But now I'm flipping that around and saying I'm the wise one. I can see what's coming up. I can see what's happening next. So it's wisdom, not
Woe
any
is
sort
me.
of, yeah, it's like I'm able to flip that around. So that's the one I'm working on right now. So, but I got to go play pickleball, so I'll see you all.
have fun.
Have
Bye.
the best
Have
time.
fun.
Thanks.
Go sweat for us.
Yeah. Good job, Bree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And piggybacking off of what you were saying, Maggie, when you start to do this work too, or as you do the work, you also remember that their perceptions, other people's perceptions are creating their reality as well. And what they're saying and doing and whatever isn't really about you. I mean, we have to sometimes step back and be like, okay, is this mine? Is this true? Am I, do I do this? Whatever and hear them, but much of the time it really, is their perceptual work that needs to happen. And also another byproduct, like you said, of doing work like this is that you do become less reactive and more responsive to life.
Mhm.
So you didn't react, you just said, okay.
And I remember standing on the street corner. It sounds bad, but my sister lives like on this like really cool like triangular building. It's really wild. And I'm literally on the street corner looking up at the sign going, huh, okay. And it didn't really hit me until I was in the grocery store and she said that word. I'm like, gosh, we need more of these tools in our life so that it wasn't like I was so caught off guard. And that was the most and then he ended up hanging up on me. And so I was like, okay again. Like like you said, like what like you just attacked me and I'm not coming after you because that's your feeling. Hmm. So we all have it, and yet how we take these tools and apply them. And I love that activity. That was beautiful. The organization, and of course, you don't know this, but purple's my favorite color. So it was
Yeah, mine too.
so stunning. I love it. Stace, Trace, do you guys want to share some takeaways, something that really hit home
Yes,
with you today?
please. Well, first of all, I need to apologize for being late. And I'm like, I'm going to get in. I'm going to get in. I'm going to get in. I really love that exercise, Bree. And when you said to write down um, our limiting beliefs, it's like I started to choke up. And the thing that came up the most was guilt
Mm.
right at the moment. And I'm like, what's the opposite of guilt? And I had to look it up. And it gave me I am innocent. But I guess in my circumstances, I'm feeling guilty because I'm leaving my girls. Um,
Mm.
and I wrote before, it's funny, I wrote before that I am a warrior. And I've been replacing that because I've been given, uh, how can I, without going into too deep, but anyway, I'm here with my girls and I need to be in two places at once and I need to do um, a job of five that my ex has and I'm doing in one, right? And so I need to be in two places at the same time. And my girls have been absolutely amazing. And when I'm, about 10 minutes late or whatever, I'm like, I am a warrior, girls. Mummy's a warrior.
Mm.
Because I've been feeling guilty because I'm running late to picking one of them up, or I'll quickly send them a message and say, "Hey, I'm coming. I'm just going to be 10 minutes late." Or Charlie will say, "Mum, they're ready to close the doors now." And I'm like, "Babe, I'm coming. I'm going to be there." And whereas before I would be like, I feel guilty because I'm not showing up on time, because they have a chauffeur, they have three nannies, they've got um, their dad, they've got Kathleen, the secretary, and so and everything I call her secretary, and everything flows for them, right? And they're so used to like everything just happening, and it just flows, and it hasn't been flowing that nicely. But we've all had an understanding, and now we've changed it to I am a warrior when I'm running late to picking the girls up. Because, I have been feeling guilty about, me leaving and not showing up for them the way that they deserve. So, yeah, it's quite interesting. And I'm absolutely exhausted, but I'm absolutely loving it.
Mm.
So,
Um, I love your reframe. I was trying to think of another word though, and maybe you guys can help me that would be less like you have to fight.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I something it's escaping me right now, but I'm determined to find it for you.
Okay, while you think about it, this is wild, Trace. Um, I was juggling on Friday the same, like making sure Lucy was all ready for school because I was going to leave to go to a funeral on the other side of state, literally a 12-hour day. It was 2.5 hour, actually ended up being three on both sides. So 6 hours in driving, all the things. I was racing to get to her and I was going to be late. And all the things that were surfacing for me, same, I'm sure, like, gosh, dang it, why can't I be early? Why this? Why that? And all the questioning that like literally hits us like, in the face. And I thought to myself, man, am I glad I get to do this? Number one. Number two, when I rushed, this one was different. This one was I rushed, and then she said, "Oh, I need the extra 15 minutes so I get paid for a full hour." And I was like, "You stinker." I was like, okay, that's kind of funny, like here I'm rushing, now I am early. And I was like, man, I might fall asleep in the car because I literally drove from the other side of the state to sit in the parking lot or rushing. I thought I was going to be late. Then I wasn't. And what was interesting in that switch that I started to apologize, what I learned, and I don't know which book it was, one of them on the shelf, that instead of, I'm so sorry I was late with traffic, I've learned to shift if I am running late and say, thank you so much for waiting. It wasn't my intention to keep you. Because otherwise, I'm talking about all the things that kept me, the traffic or the client or these things. And when it does happen, thank you so much for waiting. It wasn't, and that little tweak has helped me show up without the, oh my gosh, and then it gave me just a little bit later. Bree, did you think of it?
I got champion
Oh,
and
Mm.
yes, I saw
star.
that. Well, it's funny because also when I've got one of the girls and then we're through traffic, like the distance is only about 10 minutes, but could take, 15, 20 minutes. And the traffic's like, like it's like, and no one wants to get you in and stuff like that. And like I'll pick up one and then I'll pick up the other. We're like, yes, we did it.
That's
We
good.
are warriors. And then the song, one of the songs come on, uh, this girl is on fire.
Yes.
So I'm singing that. Oh, I sing that because, and my daughter calls me Bertha Warrior. No, Bertha. Yeah. What does she call me? Yeah, I think it's Bertha. Oh no, Bertha Goddess, right? She calls me. So we're trying to change the words. How can we change the words to this girl is a Bertha Goddess? And we're trying to change the words and stuff like that. So, I'm trying to put a positive on it.
Mhm.
And the thing that's getting me through is that my ex doesn't want me to do this, right? He wants me to fail. And I'm like, I'm not failing, man. I'm not failing.
No,
You are
you
a
know what the good one
success.
for that one? Sorry, what, Bree?
Said you are a success.
Yeah.
And here's a good one. Maybe this is uh, when I get that feeling when I know somebody is like a bit of a stinker, I say, watch
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
You have no idea what you just started.
Yeah.
Because then it stirs in the like, now here's a fun one I would say. When I've been in the traffic, I know it's different because you're in a different country, so I'm
Mm.
not sure if this works out or not. But when I feel that anxiety of traffic that makes me like, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like, what are you doing? Let's go. I want to shake it up. So we do a Chinese fire drill. You know what that is?
What's that?
I just said it and I was like, why do we call it that? Like all these
Yeah.
so you literally, when you come to a stop, you put your car in park and you literally run around the car and come all like everybody gets out of the car, runs around and gets back in the car.
I cannot do that.
Is it too tight?
Oh my God. I'm at a roundabout and they have to, leave a space so you could, go through. They're like, no, 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 get in. It's like, and people crossing over you. It's unbelievable. No, I can't do that.
Okay, here's another one that could be fun instead. Get a balloon on a string and everybody take when it's the most stressful, get it and make a wish and let the balloon out the window.
Environmentally, I'm not going to do that.
It's different in another country. Okay. But do you see what I'm saying? Shifting the
Yeah.
energy to do something funny and different. And maybe it's songs or, you know what I mean? Making
Yeah, for
that.
us, it's songs. It's singing and putting the music up loud and just,
And
yeah.
shimmying, like Bree said. Shimmy.
Yeah.
Shimmy.
I flick the devil off my shoulder. I do that too. I'm like,
Oh,
I like
Oh,
that.
Stacy. Stacy.
I like that one.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
and like sometimes I'm like, I see you, Satan, and I rebuke you. Like I'm like, meh. So, but yeah, no, anything to, I mean, see how it makes us laugh immediately? Like even when you're doing it by yourself, if you're like, woo, you start to laugh. So you can't be mad and laugh at the same time. But yeah, Tracy, you are victorious.
Mm,
Victorious
Yes.
thank you so much.
in all aspects.
Yes.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Yep, yep, yep.
Oh, yes, I love it.
Yeah. Just kept going until I found the one I really loved. That's it.
It is. It actually is. And that song can be your theme song. This
This girl is on
girl,
fire.
she's a better singer, so I'll mouth it, you say it.
I was just going with you. You said
I love it. I love it. Well, there's the greatest joy in the opportunities that we have. We get to learn, get to grow, and we get to inspire ourselves and those who are around us when we choose in. The greatest of all these gifts. And all of this came from Bree's willingness to step in, to learn to grow herself, find the tools that she knows she has mastered, reminder of those, and then also that tech that can be our nemesis. You know what I mean? Like the tech that is meant for us can be so challenging, and you overcame it.
the overcomer. No, I am victorious.
Yes, we all are victorious.
Yeah.
So wonderful. Well, thank you, Bree. Thank you, thank you. And for everyone who is live, Tamara, Stacy, Karen, who had to jet, Martha, who made the time with all the Sunday juggles, and Tracy for all that you're enduring, and then everyone who gets to watch this on the replay, and for again Bree's precious time, energy, and focus to share with us her many gifts that she has explored. And she has so many more things that she's working on to bring us in the Worthy Collective in those areas that we can grow to our best self, not better than anyone else, but yet who we were yesterday. And that growth is those little bitty steps. And when we do it together, sometimes we can see and feel the leaps that because we're linking arms, and that can be so much more fun and enjoyable. And when I think of shimmying, I'm going to think of Bree. I love it. So
Oh, let's rename it.
Me too. Me too.
yeah,
I'm going to be like this crazy woman in the car, just going.
I love it.
My
So
poor girls.
fantastic. I love it. I love it. So you guys have the most wonderful week. I was just going to find the schedule for next week so you knew what was coming. Oh, I have too many tabs open. Has somebody said that the tabs open are all the folders in your brain? Way too many. So next week the class is the gift of enough, honoring who you are without needing more. And that will be coming to us by Tracy. Tracy is in Florida this weekend for an event that she was asked to speak on. And so we'll be so grateful that she gets to join us. So thank you, everyone who's live and sharing the replay and being able to learn and apply and taking these with you this next week.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bree.
so
Thank you,
much.
Thank
everyone.
you. It was
Love
wonderful.
you, girls.
Bye.
Thank you
Have a
so
good
much.
week.
Have a good week.
Love y'all.
Love
Love
ya.
y'all.